have a shrinking role of the Iranian, let's say, government in these countries and Yemen?
Well, I am pretty sure because you know the Iranian, they have exhausted a lot of financial resources in those areas to create chaos in this area,
And destruction.
whereas the Iranian, our friend, our brothers, our neighbor, they are suffering poverty, they are suffering you know, unemployment, they are suffering from high you know, cost of living. So internally, the Iranian, they are suffering, whereas the government of Iran, they are spending thousands of million and trillion in the crisis outside in Iraq, in Syria, in Yemen, in Lebanon. So it is, I think, once upon a time, it is going to, you know, exhausted all the resources, and they are going to cripple. They are going to bow to their knees because, you know, they are doing the wrong thing, and the wrong thing doesn't exist for a long time.
That's great. Don't you think that Iran targets a country that has and cherishes the two holy sites, and also Iran's goal, Dr. Shami, is to gain control of the two holy mosques?
Yeah, exactly. This is not, you know, just thinking, but it is in real fact. They have a lot of activities to get control of the holy places. For example, while Al-Houthi dominate all Yemen, there were a military exercise where at the border of Saudi Arabia, and they mentioned, and there were a lot of Iranian at that time. They were proud. They have dominated Yemen. They said the next step, we're going to go to Mecca and Medina and do our religious activity while we are carrying our you know, rifle and our automatic gun. So their dream, their thinking, it is not you know, imaginary, but it is a real fact. And their activities show that you know, in real practical life.
That's great. Moving on to the war in Yemen file, Major Dr. Shami Dhahri, Prince Mohammed, Deputy Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdulaziz, said that the war there became necessary and unavoidable in order to protect legitimacy of the internationally recognized government led by Abdurrabbu Mansour Hadi. What is the Houthi militia as a threat to our national security?
Well, it is a great threat. I think we have moved in real time, and if we have had not move in real time, we would have had a lot of problem with the Houthi and with with our southern area. We will have other Somalia in the south of Saudi Arabia, chaos, vague, and you know, rogue government, and that is the reason I think we have moved to Yemen in real time. And you know, as you remember, that the three main objectives of Saudi Arabia in the Yemeni crisis: first of all, to restore the legitimacy of the Yemeni government; number two, to remove all the threat. They were a threat. You know, Mr. Zain al-Abidin, until now we have about 800 Saudi have been killed in the southern area. And the third and the most important, you know, to provide a conducive environment for the Yemenis faction to negotiate among themselves to move from state of war to a state of peace. Because we have to remember, and our viewer, they have to remember, that the war in Yemen, it is not a war between Saudi Arabia and Yemenis. It is a war between the legitimate government of Yemen and the Houthi and allied Saleh. So Saudi Arabia position is to support the legitimate government, to restore the law and and regulation in Yemen. And thank God, so far we have restored about 85, according to President
85%.
85% of Yemeni now under control. Mr. Zain Abidin,
Very promising.
Very promising. There are 12 seaports in Yemen. Now 10 of them, they are under the legitimate government. Only 2 seaports is still under the control of the Houthi, that is Al Hudaydah and Al Suraif. And while I am talking to you, a lot of activity is there, and I am pretty sure in the foreseeable future you will see Al Hudaydah and Al Suraif liberated. Not only that, all the island which is in the Red Sea, opposite to Al Hudaydah, for example, Karahan Island, Hnish al Kubra, Hnish al Sughra, and Zagar, all of them now under the control of legitimate government. And that will secure the international maritime lane of crossing or opposite to Yemen.
That's great. General Dr. Shami Dhahri, now talking about the Yemeni crisis, we can crush the Houthis and Ali Abdullah Saleh within days. That actually are the words of Deputy Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdulaziz answering a question. What is our logistics in the war in Yemen?
Yeah, most of the people now, Mr. Zain, in the media and even in the day-to-day talk, they said the liberation of Yemen took a long time. And they criticize those people that are not military. They criticize Saudi Arabia. They are not working very hard to liberate Yemen. In fact, and that's what his Prince Mohammed bin Salman said. We have more than 100,000 troops in the border of Saudi Arabia. Those 100 troops, they are highly trained, they are highly equipped, nearly focused. They can, as he said, crush the Houthi within no time. But it is going to create and incur a lot of casualties, casualty in the people, casualty in the material, casualties in the infrastructure. And that is the reason we are taking a long time. And this is a very important, controlling the time and the space. It is one of the most important principles of war. And this controlling the time and space, it is in the favor of the allied forces led by Saudi Arabia, because, as you know, we have no pressing time to liberate. We're going to move slowly and gradually, and ultimately, at the end of the day, the Houthis and allied Abdullah Saleh, they are going to bow to their knee and surrender to the allied forces led by Arab allied forces led by Saudi Arabia. So we are not in rush. We don't like to lose any our soldier, and it is one of the principle and one of the objective of the Saudi led Arab allied forces is to achieve the 3 goals I have mentioned with very limited casualties. Casualties in personnel, casualties in infrastructure.
That's great. So that what explained delaying some major military operations in Yemen.
That is exactly. That is exactly. He said we are not in rush. Why to rush and create a lot of casualty for our people as well as for the Yemenis? The Yemenis in our idea and our thinking, they are our brother. We don't like to create any casualty for them. And frankly, it is one of the principle of war that an excellent leader, military leader, he achieved the goal of his nation with limited casualties, with limited, problem in personnel as well as in material.
That's a great. Major Shami al-Dhahri, General Shami al-Dhahri, I'm sorry, do Saleh and the Houthis have major differences, and who controls the other, in your point of view?
It was under the table a long time ago, but now it is over the surface. Everybody knows that there are a lot of differences, and the differences is not created today. As you know, the Ali Abdullah Saleh fought the Houthi six times, and he killed the brother of Abdul Malik Houthi, Hussein al-Houthi, in the second crisis between them. So, but they join hand together, so that they can, steal the wealth of Yemen, both of them. And now they have a problem dividing the wealth. Everybody try to gain as much as possible benefit from the Yemeni wealth, the Yemeni, money, and so on. And that show a lot of difference. As a matter of fact, now Ali Abdullah Saleh, he is surrounded by al-Houthi people to supervise his movement. A few days ago, the Prime Minister, the Prime Minister Abdul Aziz, the Prime Minister, he is belonging, or he is influenced by Ali Abdullah Saleh. He was criticized by the Houthi. As a matter of fact, they dismiss the Houthi. They dismissed 3 ministers from the المؤتمر الشعبي, حزب المؤتمر الشعبي, which is belong to Ali Abdullah Saleh. So they have a lot of problem, and I think the problem initially it was under the table. Now it is clear. Everybody knows about it, and I am pretty sure in the foreseeable future you will see the differences and the quarrel between them promulgated and announced by the media and by the newspaper.
That's great. Now the Arab coalition led by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, General Dr. Shami al-Dhahri, is about to have major military operation in Al-Hudaydah.